goodness! Justin Jefferson pulled it in! The catch of his life! But we gotta look back at this.
4th and 18, 2 minutes left. Minnesota down by 4. On the road in Buffalo against one of the best teams in football. Kirk Cousins drops back, heaves it deep toward the sideline, and what happens next is something you genuinely cannot explain. Justin Jefferson goes up with the Bills defender draped all over him, reaches back with one hand, and physically pries the football out of that defender's grip in midair before coming down with a 32-yard gain. The stadium went dead silent. Jefferson said afterward it felt unreal, like a movie. That one play didn't just save the Vikings season, it announced to the entire world that there was a new king at wide receiver. And here's the thing, that wasn't even the best story of his 2022 season. Not even close. This is a season about a 23-year-old kid who said before week 1 that he was going to be the best receiver in football.
And right underneath is Justin Jefferson on the move and all the
Then went out and put together one of the most breathtaking individual campaigns in NFL history. Franchise records shattered. The greatest receiving yardage record in history within reach. The biggest comeback in NFL history.
The man upstairs, without him, none of this would be possible.
And an Offensive Player of the Year trophy sitting on the shelf when it was all said and done. This is 2022 Justin Jefferson. Jefferson was selected 22nd overall in the 2020 draft by the Minnesota Vikings. And from the very first snap, it was clear this kid was built different. He broke the NFL rookie receiving record with 1,400 yards in his first season without even blinking. He followed that with 1,616 yards in year 2, just barely missing Randy Moss's franchise single-season record by 16 yards. Back-to-back 1,400-plus yard seasons to open a career. Nobody in NFL history had ever done that. Not Jerry Rice, not Randy Moss, not Calvin Johnson. Nobody. But here's the thing. Despite the historic numbers, the Vikings were still going 7-9 and 8-9 in those years. A revolving door at head coach. A defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed. Kirk Cousins getting publicly buried every other week. Jefferson was putting up generational numbers on a losing team, and the league wasn't giving him his full flowers yet. The title of best receiver in the game still had Davante Adams' name on it. The conversation around Jefferson was always, he's great, followed immediately by, but the team loses. But Cousins holds him back. But he hasn't won anything. The doubters had their bullets loaded, and headed into 2022, Jefferson had had enough. He was walking into a new stadium on top of it all. The Vikings had fired head coach Mike Zimmer after the 2021 season and brought in Kevin O'Connell, a first-year head coach coming over from the LA Rams, where he had just spent 2 years as an offensive coordinator. The same guy who built the offense that turned Cooper Kupp into a historic force. The year Kupp swept the Triple Crown with 145 catches, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Jefferson heard O'Connell's name and immediately had one question. He wanted to know if this new coach could do for him what he did for Kupp. Could he unlock the ceiling? O'Connell told him yes. That was all Jefferson needed, because when week 1 rolled around and Minnesota lined up against the Green Bay Packers, Jefferson didn't ease into the season.
Jefferson again!
He didn't feel it out. He came out of the tunnel like he had been waiting a year to do exactly this. 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was wide open on half the routes and still completely uncoverable on the other half. Aaron Rodgers' secondary had no answers whatsoever. Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in football, got cooked all afternoon.
Over the middle, how is he that wide open? Jefferson again, inside the 10, lunging for the end zone.
The Vikings blew the Packers out 23-7, and Jefferson left the building as the best player on the field. The declaration was already aging beautifully. The season kept rolling, and Jefferson just kept going. Week 4 in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against the Saints. He dropped 147 receiving yards and added a rushing touchdown in a 28-25 win. The very next week against the Chicago Bears, He went for a career-high 12 catches and 154 yards, on his way to breaking Randy Moss's franchise record for career receptions through the first 3 seasons. Every week, it was something new. Some record falling, some defense getting embarrassed. By the time Minnesota hit their Week 7 bye, Jefferson already had 654 receiving yards in 5 games, 100 plus in 3 of them. The Vikings were 5-1. The offense was clicking exactly the way O'Connell had promised, and the conversation about who the best receiver in football was had already begun tilting hard in one direction. But then came Week 10.
Unless the team first in possession gets a touchdown, there's a defensive score, or the team first in possession keeps the ball.
At Buffalo, and this wasn't just a football game. This was the Minnesota Vikings against the Buffalo Bills, arguably the best team in the AFC, in their house, in front of their crowd, with Josh Allen operating at a level that he had the entire league on notice. And it started about as badly as it possibly could. The Vikings fell behind 7 points in the second half, 2 turnovers, momentum completely gone. You could see the air leaking out of the season in real time.
Officials timeout for a medical timeout.
And with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Minnesota was down 4, facing a 4th and 18 from their own 27-yard line. Seasons end on 4th and 18. Careers get defined by 4th and 18.
Cousins back to throw on 4th and 18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Climbs the ladder.
Cousins dropped back and launched it toward the boundary. Jefferson went up into traffic with Bills cornerback Cam Lewis draped all over him. And what he did next is something you cannot teach, cannot drill, and cannot replicate. With one hand extended behind his body, Jefferson reached back through Lewis's arm, found the football in the air, clamped onto it, and ripped it away from the defender to come down with a 32-yard gain. One hand through a defender in crunch time on 4th and 18 on the road against the best team in the conference. Jefferson said afterward it felt unreal, like a movie. The Vikings went on to win 33-30 in overtime behind Patrick Peterson's clutch interception to seal it, capping off their 7th straight victory. It was the most stunning regular season win of the entire 2022 NFL season. And that catch was the moment the last doubter sat down and shut up. After that game, nobody was debating who the best receiver in football was anymore. But it wasn't just one game and one catch. Jefferson was out here doing this on a weekly basis, and the numbers were becoming genuinely historic. Week 11, back against Green Bay, he went for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 34-31 win. Week 13 against the Detroit Lions, 182 yards and a touchdown in a heartbreaker of a loss. In November alone, Jefferson put up 464 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns across 4 games to take home NFC Offensive Player of the Month, the first of his career. The dude was a machine. And then in Week 15 came the most insane of the entire Vikings season, and maybe the most insane game of the entire NFL season. Minnesota was hosting the Indianapolis Colts, and by halftime, the Vikings were losing 33-0. Not 20-0, not 27-0, 33-0. A blocked punt for a score, a pick six, a fumble, a failed fake punt. Everything that could go wrong had gone wrong at the absolute worst possible time. The home crowd was booing. Players had their heads down. Patrick Peterson walked into the locker room at halftime, looked at his offensive teammates in the eye and said, quote, "You need just 5 touchdowns. That's nothing. The defense has got you." The second half was nothing short of supernatural. Jefferson had been limited to just 3 catches for 17 yards in the first half. In the second half, he exploded for 12 catches total, 123 yards and a touchdown. A triple move 8-yard score over Stephon Gilmore that cut back, jabbed inside, then burst outside so fast that Gilmore later said,
"Absolutely, they call this an East-West double. They're covering the East, they're covering the West, they're not."
People don't usually run 3 routes in one. Jefferson took hits, left the field twice for evaluation, came back both times. Minnesota outscored Indianapolis 39-3 from the third quarter onward and won on a 40-yard Greg Joseph field goal as time expired in overtime, completing the largest comeback in NFL history. The Vikings clinched the NFC North Division title, and Jefferson was at the center of it. Down 33 points at home, and he still showed up. By mid-December, Jefferson was closing in on Randy Moss's franchise record for single-season receiving yards. He broke it in Week 16 against the Giants on just his second catch of the day, a 25-yard reception that moved him past Moss's 1,632 to stand alone at the top of franchise history. He finished that game with 12 catches for 133 yards and a touchdown as Minnesota won on a 61-yard field goal as time expired, their record-setting 11th one-score win of the season. But Jefferson had his eyes locked on something even bigger than a franchise record. Calvin Johnson, Megatron, the greatest single-season receiving performance in the history of professional football. 1,964 yards set over just 16 games in 2012. Jefferson had 2 games left and needed 209 yards to break it. He needed to go for 100 plus twice, and he knew it. But the Packers held him to 1 catch in Week 17 at Lambeau. And with the division already clinched, O'Connell pulled his starters at halftime in a meaningless Week 18 finale against Chicago. The record hunt ended at 1,809 yards, 155 yards short of history. Jefferson was honest about it afterward. He said it was tough, but then he said he felt like he'd reached his main goal. The goal coming in was 1,800. He'd done it. And there would be other years. Still, the final numbers were staggering. 128 receptions, 1,809 receiving yards, the 6th most in a single season in NFL history. The youngest player ever to lead the league in both catches and receiving yards in the same season. Unanimous first-team All-Pro, AP Offensive Player of the Year, and a final candidate for league MVP. He said it before a single game was played. Then he became it. Now here's the thing that hurt. The postseason arrived and suddenly the narrative around this Vikings team shifted fast. Despite going 13-4, Minnesota had won 11 of those 13 games by 1 possession. Their point differential was actually negative for the entire season, the first team in NFL history with 13 wins and a negative point differential. Their defense ranked 31st in total yards allowed all year. Analysts everywhere called them a mirage, smoke and mirrors, a team that had no business being 13-4 and would be exposed when January arrived. And then they drew the New York Giants in the wildcard round. The same Giants team Jefferson had scorched for 133 yards and a touchdown just 3 weeks earlier. But the Giants rolled in with a completely different game plan this time. Cornerback Adoree Jackson, back from a 7-game injury absence to a knee issue, matched up with Jefferson and shadowed him everywhere he went. Safety help bracketed his routes on top of that.
Pick up a first down. Excellent second effort.
The Giants built their entire defensive game plan around taking Justin Jefferson out of the game. And it worked. Jefferson finished with just 7 catches for 47 yards, no touchdowns. Without Jefferson operating anywhere near his ceiling, the offense had no answers. Daniel Jones played the game of his life. 301 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 78 rushing yards in his first career playoff game. Saquon Barkley punched in 2 scores. The Giants won 31-24. Just like that, the greatest regular season a wide receiver had put together in recent memory ended in the wild card round on a Saturday afternoon. The team that went 11-0 in 1-score games all year lost the only one that mattered most. Jefferson's face after the final whistle said everything that words couldn't. Although it ended without a ring or even a second playoff game, what Justin Jefferson did in the 2022 season
From Cam Lewis.
Foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 47.
is one of the most breathtaking individual performances by a skill position in the history of professional football. He announced himself to the world before the season even started. He made the most jaw-dropping catch in recent memory on 4th and 18 in Buffalo with the season on the line. He broke Randy Moss's franchise record. He chased Calvin Johnson's all-time record and came up 155 yards short after his coach pulled him at halftime of a meaningless Week 18 game. He caught 12 passes for 123 yards while taking shots that sent him to the sideline for evaluation.
In the end zone, touchdown!
And the greatest comeback in NFL history. He won Offensive Player of the Year. He was the heartbeat of a 13-win team that had absolutely no business going 13-4 without him. And before a single snap of the season was ever played, at 22 years old, he looked at a camera and said, after this year, it's gonna be me. It's hard to think about the fact that this is the same kid who was rated the 308th best wide receiver coming out of high school. The same kid nobody was recruiting. And sure enough, through all of it, here he was putting the finishing touches on a dream season that cemented his place among the greatest receivers to ever put on a helmet, in what we now know as just the beginning of everything. He said it before the year started, then he went out and proved every word of it.
So I got to thank the man upstairs. Without him, none of this would be possible.
The best in the league, and he told you so.